to literally yours. Whether you are trying to learn the English language from scratch or you are just trying to brush up your skills, I shall be your guide in this language learning journey. So, to kick things off, the best way to start this journey is to assess yourself, to know where you stand in your language learning journey. So, for that, I have the link in the description below of a website called the British Council, where you can get a free test of your English proficiency done. So you can just go on that website, register yourself. Without registration, you'll not be able to take the test. So it is highly suggested that you register yourself first and then you can take the free test. The test consists of 30 questions and it's divided in two parts. In the first part of that test, there will be a question where you have to select from multiple choices. And the second part of that question will ask you whether you know the answer to be certain, or whether you are fairly sure of that answer, or you are not sure about the answer. So you have to answer both the parts of these questions in the time limit of 30 minutes, and at the end of that you will get your proficiency level. Now let's talk about the different levels of English proficiency that will appear in your web page screen after you've taken the test. So there are in total 6 proficiency levels, as you can see. So as you move downwards, the English proficiency is increasing from A1 to C2. Let's talk about the different levels of English proficiency, one of which will come on your webpage screen after you've taken that test. So let's try to understand what each of these levels mean. So in total, actually, there are 6 levels starting from A1. So first we have A1, which is a beginner level, which means that you can understand everyday in phrases and words that you come across on a daily basis in your environment, and you can also introduce yourself and ask and answer questions. Now A1 level, the drawback of this level, if any, would be that if you are listening to someone speak, or if you are reading something which is very complex, using complex structures or phrases or words, that will be difficult for you to understand. Then comes A2 level, which is elementary, which means that you can understand simple sentences and frequently used expressions related to your environment. What does that mean? For example, you are a student. So any simple sentence or any phrase which is very much used in that school environment, for example, erase the blackboard, or go fetch this, okay, so, or open your books to chapter this, all these simple phrases, simple sentences can be understood by a student who is frequently going to school and hence knows these repetitive, frequently used phrases very well. Now, for example, you work in a corporate sector, so all the words and phrases that are used in your environment on a daily basis, maybe in a meeting or maybe while talking to a co-worker, those phrases and words will be very well known to you. Now, second characteristic of an A2 level English speaker would be that they can communicate in simple and routine tasks. That means they can talk about their day in very simple structured English, and they can exchange information, that too in a very simple or basic structure of English. Again, the drawback of A2 level would be that when you listen to someone or when you read something which is using complex structures and which are out of your knowledge domain. For example, a school student is maybe watching a web series which is talking about maybe corporate sector. Okay, so that student may not be able to understand the words and phrases that are being used there. Similarly, if an office worker suddenly goes to a school environment, goes to a school for any kind of work, may not be able to understand the words or phrases that are being frequently used there. So that is the drawback of the elementary level. And similarly, if you're reading something and that passage uses complex sentence structures or complex phrases that are out of your knowledge domain, you will not be able to comprehend it. Now the next level is B1 or intermediate, which means that you can understand the main points of a spoken discourse or a speech that is related to your knowledge domain. Again, the same thing that was said, that knowledge domain refers to the everyday interactions related to your workplace or the place that you go for studying. Okay, so then another point is that you can talk about familiar topics of interest, like you can talk about your hobbies with a bit of fluency. So that is the B1 level. Again, B1 level, if there is a drawback to a B1 level speaker, that would be that he or she cannot understand the main ideas of a complex written text. Then next is B2 or upper intermediate, which is in which if you are in that level, you will be able to understand the main idea of a complex text. Now from here comes the reading part. So now by this time your listening and speaking skills are improved to such a level that now you can move on to the reading skill. So if you do not know, this actually refers to LSRW skills, which is listening, speaking, reading and writing. So this is the flow of the skills. A very basic English speaker or a basic English proficiency person would have listening skills, and then as he or she moves towards gaining more proficiency in that language or in English for that matter, he or she will gain speaking skills, then will gain the reading skills, and then lastly will gain the writing skills. So based on that only you have these levels. So as coming back, as I was talking about B2, from here we have the reading proficiency or reading skills being improved. So if you are a B2 level speaker or proficiency, then you can understand the main idea of a complex text. You may not be able to give a line by line explanation or description of the text that you are reading, but you will get the main points or the main idea from reading or from the context clues. And you can also interact with native speakers with fluency and spontaneity. Means you do not need any kind of prior preparation to be able to speak to a native speaker. Now comes the last two levels of English speaking proficiency. First one is C1, which is advanced, which means that you can understand the meanings of complex and longer forms of written text. For example, maybe if you're reading a book, you'll be able to understand that long form of text fully and efficiently. Second is you can express yourself with fluency and spontaneity without having to think about expressions or words. And your vocabulary will also be quite advanced by this point. Then the last one is proficient or C2, which means you can understand all forms of communication. That means you can understand spoken as well as written forms of communication with ease. You will not have to refer to a dictionary or Google or try to find the meanings with other external help or resources. You'll be able to understand that yourself. And then lastly is you can express yourself fluently both in speaking and in writing. Now here in C2 comes the writing part, which is the writing skill, which is developed. I would not say fully developed because we cannot be perfect in writing as non-native speakers or learners of English, but yes, it will be quite advanced or developed when you are in a C2 level. Now that is all about the levels of English proficiency. Now let me end this with a note that wherever you are standing right now in this level, whether you are at A1 or maybe a B2 or maybe a C2 even, this does not mean that you are less knowledgeable or more knowledgeable, because English, the knowledge of English does not equate with knowledge itself. That is a very big misconception that we as a previously colonized country, and we as non-native speakers of English have this insecurity or this misconception, I would say, regarding the English proficiency level and knowledge. So again, let me repeat myself. English, the knowledge of English and knowledge itself does not equate. If you are maybe an A1 or A2 speaker, or you have that proficiency, it does not mean that you are maybe a bad engineer or a bad corporate worker. You are proficient in your own domain. And similarly, if you are a C1 or C2, that does not mean that you are a very knowledgeable person and you know everything. So it's better to not feel superior or inferior based on this English proficiency level. So from here on, we will be delving into this ESL or English as a Second Language course, where we will start with the LSRW skills and slowly we'll be moving on to grammar and even literature. So stay tuned for more videos, and please like and subscribe and share if you think that my channel and my videos will help anyone out there who wants and who would like to learn a little bit about English language. Thank you. Bye.